welcome at another episode.
Hi, my name's Sam. I'm actually editing the video today, so I thought I would let you know that the site that Marika and Taco are going to be reviewing today has actually changed. They've got a brand new layout. They've actually implemented a lot of the advice that Taco and Marika has. So you should definitely stick around, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell somewhere down here, so that you get notifications whenever we upload a video. But I'll let these guys take over now. Okay, bye.
Offsite Spotlight. My name is Marika van der Rakt and I'm here with Taco Verdonschot. How are you doing today, Taco?
Well, I'm actually pretty nervous.
You're nervous?
Yes, because
Why?
Well, we are going to review a website of someone who does presentation coaching.
Oh, right.
And obviously what we're doing is presenting. So I'm super aware of all the things that I might be doing wrong right now.
Now I'm nervous as well. I hadn't thought about that. So thank you for making me nervous. It's a Dutch website. We're reviewing the homepage. You can already see it, perhaps, of the Depresenteerschool, which in English is the School, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's dive into the homepage. We're looking at the homepage of Depresenteerschool.nl. And does that page make it obvious what you can do here and invite you to act? I think the answer is yes, because right away the first paragraph signals the promise. In Dutch, je wil effectiever spreken voor groepen. You want to become a better presenter. It's immediately clear what this site offers. Courses. You can book courses to improve your presentation skill. So I think that clarity is a big win, because I see a lot of websites in which I have to search for what they actually do, and that is like the most important thing a homepage has, and that's done marvelously. If we scroll down, I see reviews mixed with information sections, and that can work, but for me it feels a bit diluted. I'm also noticing the same photo used with different text overlays. Some of that text is a little bit hard to read, I think. When images repeat and the contrast is low, I think people will skim instead of engage with the text next to it. I didn't read that text on that image.
Yeah, it feels a bit like it's a commercial, it's an ad almost on the page.
Yes. That's my whole feel from this homepage, is that it is a bit overdone, perhaps. So I think it's all strong, but we see a lot of these stars with the reviews. We see a lot of these little check marks, which work, we know that, but they are on several places on the homepage. I think that course overview, if you scroll a little bit further down, oh no, this is not a course overview. This is the why you should buy it. I think this is the course overview. It sets expectations. It helps visitors to decide pretty quickly. I think all the content is just what you need on a homepage. I'd bring the trainer section. It's about Stefan, who is the trainer. I would bring that much higher on this page. I think his role is central to the brand, so don't make visitors hunt for him. But I noticed later on that Stefan is not the only trainer, and because perhaps that's why he's not that central. So I think it would make sense to discuss and reconsider how to present the Presenteerschool as a one-man show or as a facility with multiple trainers, for example. And that also is, you have two types of reviews. General course reactions, and then the more personal reviews about Stefan, like underneath here. So what's the difference there? Yeah. So, did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, this is something that we only saw when we looked at the About page, is that there's actually others, because the whole front page just feels like he's doing it. He is the Presenteerschool.
So if I could make some improvements, I would get rid of some of the green check marks, make more authentic photos from real trainers, unique images that show energies and rooms and people learning. I would, for reviews, add some headshots or names and roles to make them more personal and more credible. I would probably move the about Stefan or about the trainers a bit above the fold or right after you tell what do we do. Yeah, I think overall, I think the promise is clear. I think the course overview is really solid. I just think it has done the optimization for conversion just a little bit too far, which makes it feel a bit salesy.
Yeah, and for something that is super personal, presenting, it may have lost that sort of personal touch because of the optimizations.
So that's it for the homepage.
Let's go technical. All right, so I went to Depresenteerschool.nl in an incognito browser so that it thinks that I've never visited the site before. The good thing is if you navigate around the site, it feels quite fast, it feels quite snappy. So I want to look under the hood to see what's happening there. And the thing I want to start with is cookies, because in Europe and in some other places in the world, but let's focus on Europe, since this is a .nl domain with clearly Dutch focus, there's a cookie law. And that means that your website must obtain explicit, freely given and unambiguous consent from your users before you can place tracking or other non-essential cookies. This consent requires active opt-in. So you can't have pre-ticked boxes, or if you continue on this website, we assume you agree. It has to be a user action that says, yes, this is what I agree to. And that means that you have to be clear about what the cookies are for and what you're doing with them. And users need to be able to withdraw their consent at any time. Now that's a very, very long way of saying you cannot set any non-functional cookies without user permission. And that's why you see cookie banners all over the web. And that's also the case on the Depresenteerschool. In the bottom left, you can see the cookie banner that says, okay, I can accept, I can refuse, or I can look at my preferences and probably customize what is allowed, what isn't allowed. Now, what I'm going to do for the purpose of this test is say I refuse. So I do not want any tracking cookies whatsoever. You do not have my permission. The next thing we're going to do is take a look and at the things that are loaded in the site. And these are cookies. So in the console, we can look at the cookies that are set. And we can see that the compliance, that's the name of the cookie, is very clear. Functional cookies are allowed, marketing cookies are denied, preferences are denied, and stats are denied. AKA, you can use functional cookies, but nothing else. Now, below the compliance cookies, which are set by the cookie banner, there's also one called Visitor Info 1 Live. And this is an interesting one because we can look up this cookie. There's a website that keeps track of who sets which cookies. And this is one that's set by YouTube. And it's clearly a marketing cookie for ad delivery and retargeting to store and track a visitor's identity and store and track interaction. So this is a cookie that is not allowed to set because I've selected refuse. The thing is, YouTube is quite aggressive in always setting this cookie as soon as you load YouTube on a page. And if we look at the Depresenteerschool, you can see that there's a YouTube video loaded right off the bat. And that means that you're immediately, as soon as someone enters your site, you're in violation of the GDPR because you're setting this retargeting marketing cookie from YouTube.
And that just happens accidentally.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is not a deliberate choice. It's not um, something that the site owner is trying to sneak in.
No.
It's something that YouTube sneaks in.
Yeah.
Well, there's solutions to this problem. One of the things you could do is load an image here first and only load the video after someone clicked the video.
Right.
Ideally, they would have to still consent. Are you sure you want to load this video? Because that will mean cookies. But the act of start this video can be interpreted. There's not a whole lot of legal precedents to see if this is actually a violation or still gray area. But if you do it in the perfect way, you'd make sure that someone deliberately says, yes, I want to see this video and I want to load YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, one of the quick ways to do this, if you were running Yoast SEO on this website, you could use the Yoast SEO video SEO add-on that has a setting that loads an image, but not the whole YouTube player, so that cookies won't be set immediately
Right.
when someone loads the page.
So that's like a pretty easy fix then.
Absolutely, yes. The other way is looking at YouTube alternatives. There's quite a few alternatives for YouTube that are much more privacy focused. Vimeo has a lot of very good options in that sense. And there's also PeerTube, which is the really open source version of YouTube. It's much smaller, but it is very privacy focused.
Well, great tips, Taco.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is if we reload this site, let me fully reload it. So clear the cookies so that the site no longer knows that we already selected something, and then we reload the site. When we now click accept, you can see, if we go back to the overview of the cookies, that the site loads a whole lot more. So this is hard to see. There's Google Tag Manager, there's some extra YouTube cookies, and there's a Facebook tracking pixel, there's Google Analytics, and there's a few more that you'll see pop up as you scroll through the site and start using it. So it does, like you can see, it loads quite a few cookies, but these are only loaded after you've given permission to set those cookies. But then it is tracking you quite a bit.
Right.
So another small technical thing that I want to talk about is fonts. Because in a previous version of this site, they were loading fonts directly from Google, which is also a violation of GDPR. But that's been optimized, so the fonts are stored locally now. And it's not just a privacy improvement, but that's also a huge speed improvement to the site. So these go hand in hand, and it's a really nice optimization they've done.
So let's take a look at content. I checked several articles, and I think all in all, if you look at all the blog posts, there's real and usable value here. There are tips that are worth reading and applying. I even found myself reading the blog post for information rather for this review. That means that the content is just top notch. And I understand that this blog also supports marketing, but the advice in itself, that carries authority, it carries expertise, it carries genuine help. That's the most important thing. That's also what Google is going to love about this. So I think also the top of the article, if you look at it now, that is done right. You see an author with a picture, you see a published date, you see a last updated page. Those details build that a real person wrote it and a real person is maintaining it. So if you look closely at the post, this post is about speaking too fast and how it weakens your presentation. And I often speak too fast. So I now have so much tips on how to improve that. If I look at how that post is written, I think readability is really strong. I see clear headings. I see short sentences. I see plain language, no difficult terms or jargon or anything. So it's really easy to read on screen. I also like the in short, the summary above. It's really good. If you scroll down a bit, Taco, the structure for me took a minute to get used to. You'll have a piece of text like this, and then you'll have a large visual block that also contains text. Almost like slides from a deck, I think. In some blog posts, you see a picture behind it, and then you have like a kind of quote or something. And I think it can work. I often use pull quotes or something like a summary in between, but I think the whole blog feels a bit oversized, and it's also rather frequent. I would consider to use smaller call-out blocks, and I think important text should be in real HTML rather than baked into images. It's also better for accessibility, right, Taco?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And I also think, so the text is really good, but the photos aren't the strongest. They sometimes look like generic stock. They feel a bit artificial, perhaps AI styled, I don't know. And I think that lowers the sense of authenticity. I trade them for real photos, people in a room, practice moments, talked to this before. Yeah, and so again, the design leans to a bit hard on selling, and I get that, and I'm not sure if you should change it because maybe that's just this audience that is fond of or is easily sold on such a design, but I feel like you perhaps would convert better with a little less salesy in it. Yeah.
Yeah, slightly more personal again.
Yes, I also see too many call to actions. So maybe just top, middle, end instead of so many things. And I would invest in good photography. Just take a few photographers into a few courses and shoot like endlessly nice pictures. Make sure you have different outfits, and then you'll have like a library to choose from for these blog posts.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
But all said, this content is really good. And usually I am whining or I am critical about the content, and in this case the content is really, really good. So it's just, for me, the styling is making the content not as good as it actually is.
Yeah, and that's interesting because when we're looking at SEO, we talk a lot about EAT, where authenticity, authoritativeness is really key.
Yeah,
and
it is. So everything on that part is done right. It is only the style that I think. It is the style that I see in all these other websites, and the only difference is that the content is ridiculously good here, but it looks like all of these websites in which the content is bad.
Well, and I must admit, I mean, doing the reviews, I got distracted actually reading quite a few of the blog posts as well. So it's probably the site spotlight that took the longest to prepare, just because there was so much good stuff on the site. When talking about accessibility, there's a lot of factors, but I'm going to start with a tool that we've used before, and that is the Wave browser add-on. It gives you a lot of stuff that you can improve, but one of the things that we haven't looked at before, and that's very interesting on this site, is order. So I'm going to switch to the tab Order, and what that gives me is a list of links and buttons on the page. So you can basically see how I would tap through the site if I would only use my keyboard.
Right.
The first thing you see here is go to content. is basically skip to content link. And this is super valuable because it allows your visitors to not have to go through the entire menu, which is well accessible, by the way, and immediately go to the part that you want them to go to read what's on the page. So that's really well done. And if you look over the whole order of things on this page, it makes sense. So it's a logic way of navigating through the site. You don't jump back and forth or to strange places. So that's a really nice feature. One of the other features that I really like in the Wave tool is the structure tool, where you can see the order of headings. So you can see that it starts with H1, which is the largest heading, the main heading. Then it has subheadings, H2. Those have subheadings. Those have subheadings. So it's well structured. There's no heading level skipped on the page. It's all well structured and makes it better accessible. So well done. Now, the other thing is, and you probably saw that in the Wave tool, is that there's a few remarks, a few errors noted, and the most important one has to do with color. And color is also something that we see when we tap through the site. So we talked about the logical order. First, we start with the skip to content. I'm going to skip that for now. Move through the menu. You see a nice highlight around the logo. You see the highlight around the menu. And this is really well done. It works. It's clear. It's a visual indication of where you are. And then we reach a button. I'm now on the phone number, but it's really hard to see because it does change color, but only slightly. And the same goes for yes, I want to know more. You can see that it changed color a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's not enough to be a clear visual indicator of this is where you are.
No.
So specifically for these buttons, that's something that has to be improved. And then you can see that there's links in all the reviews.
Yeah.
So the names in the reviews are linked.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't link to their social profiles or the place where they initially left the review. They link to the very same page. So if I would follow this link, I stay exactly where I am. Nothing happens. So it reads like a link, but it isn't. And that's something that I wouldn't do. It's not helpful, and it doesn't add that trustworthiness. So if you can link this to a Google review or a G2 site or even their social profiles to show that this is a real person, that's much stronger and much less confusing than having sort of a dead link.
Yeah. A lot of people wouldn't want a link towards their social profile, but adding an image would be really good as well.
Yep.
But for accessibility, that doesn't improve at all.
No, that's only a slight. The last thing I want to look at is the headings that are used on the page. So, for example, here's an orange heading that says recognizable, herkenbaar in Dutch. It's a very small font. Its name in the source is heading, but it isn't a real heading. So it's a div used as sort of a heading, but too small and with a way too low color contrast to be accessible.
Yeah.
So this is something you can reconsider. Does this need to be here, or should it be a real title, or is it the title below? Is that sufficient to draw attention? So I'm not sure why these are here, and they appear in several places. I'm not sure they're valuable enough as is to keep them like this.
I think
if you want to keep them
much bigger. They should be much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, they're currently 12 pixels, and that's way too small.
Yeah, I hardly can see them.
So overall, a quick check. The site is pretty well accessible. You can navigate anywhere you need to go. Most of the images have an alt description that describe what's on there. So that's useful for screen readers as well. Overall, pretty decent, but there's a few things to tweak further to make it even better accessible.
Right. Little work to do, but all in all, very good site. Thank you, Taco.
I'm really hoping that he isn't going to do a video
On our video.
on our presenting. So
Yeah, well, then we'll take his pointers. Then we'll take that feedback.
Absolutely, and learn from it.
Right. Thank you for watching Site Spotlight. And if you want to have your site reviewed by us, then please let us know.
Navigate to the site, progressplanner.com/site-spotlight, and you can sign up there to be part of the spotlight.
Well, see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.